So my message to lawyers is, number one, we have never really served the entire legal market. There are many needs, many requirements out there that we have simply not even noticed or simply said there's not enough money in that for us. And what I want to make clear to them is that all these new technologies, all these new providers, all these new developments, they are taking aim at this segment of the market and they are finding ways to serve them. The other point I need to make to them as well is that these providers may start under the water, but they're going to start moving up towards the surface in a real hurry, right? Because they can look up through the water, they see the top of the iceberg, they know how lucrative that is, they're going to want a piece of that as well. So I'm Jordan Furlong. I'm a lawyer, author, and consultant. I work with the legal marketplace, specifically with lawyers, law firms, and legal organizations. I write about the changes taking place in the legal market and how lawyers can adapt to that. When I talk about the untapped legal market and I talk about the incidental nature of lawyers in that market, I'm really talking about two sides of the same coin. When lawyers talk about the legal market, to the extent they think about it at all, they tend to think about the clients that they traditionally have served that are fairly easy to find, that always have money, that are always in a position to be able to support them and take them on. But in actual fact, when you look at the whole legal market, the entire market, and you define it in terms of not just people who are currently paying lawyers for legal services and legal products, but you define it more broadly as anybody who's in a situation where they have what's called a justiciable issue, some problem or challenge or situation or opportunity that is legal in nature or related to the law in some way and demands or absolutely requires some kind of an attention. When you look at that large market, you find consistently in survey after survey that this market is only served by maybe about 15% by lawyers. The analogy that I frequently use is that of an iceberg. Icebergs, of course, 15% above water, 85% below water. When you look at the 15% above water in the legal marketplace, that's the market we all know very well, we're familiar with. It is covered with lawyers, if you will. There's no problem with being able to access a lawyer in that area. But for the 85% underneath the water, people who don't have the funds or don't have the ability to access or to afford or to be able to engage the services of a lawyer at the prices lawyers are currently charging, then that is a huge missed opportunity. That has real social costs, as anybody knows who hasn't been in that position. Any litigator who has been in court dealing with a self-represented litigant understands very well that pro se representation is rarely, if ever, good for the litigant, him or herself, and it always has just a huge negative impact on the court process. So my point when I talk about lawyers being increasingly incidental is that because we have priced our work, because we operate our firms in ways that do not and are never really meant to extend to the entire market, we are already not anybody's first choice. Survey after survey will show you that when you talk about justiciable issues, almost half of people will try to work out some solution for themselves. Maybe about a fifth will throw their hands up and do nothing. Maybe about a fifth will try other solutions from options such as perhaps the government or unions, family or friends or accountants, people like that. But only about 10 to 15% are coming to lawyers. We need to turn that around. That is the challenge we have right now as a profession. We need to become no longer incidental, we need to become critical to the functioning of this legal market.